Hey, I'm Sam. This is my second devlog for Easy Delivery Co. In this one, I'm going to be talking a bit about the art style. I forgot to mention in the last one, but Easy Delivery Co. is out already on Steam. These devlogs aren't really to promote the game, they're more just to document my process and decisions and share them with anybody that's interested. But if you are interested, the game is on Steam, so I'll link it in the description. So here's some context. I've been making games for a while now. I've been coding and making pixel art sprites for about 10 years, and I've known Unity for 5 of that. So I'm relatively new to 3D. If you're a developer or a frequent game dev YouTube, you probably know this all too well, but it's really important to manage your game's scope. How I understand it is that ideas can grow larger than your ability to implement them, and it's just a recipe for an unfinished game. I'm a big advocate for making tiny games. It's kind of all I've done up to this point. Making tiny games has really helped me learn game art and programming, but it's also helped me learn my limits and manage my expectations for finishing projects. For example, Data Restored is a little puzzle platformer I made a while ago in Pico 8. It was supposed to be a week-long project, and it turned into almost 2 months because I didn't account for just how long it would take to make levels. When it came to Easy Delivery Co., I knew it would be the biggest project I've ever attempted by a long shot. In order to keep the scope down, my plan was to design the game based on what I already knew how to do. I'm not the strongest when it comes to level design or art, but I love programming. So it wouldn't make sense, for example, to make another linear level-based game. But a simple open world governed by a few systems and tight driving physics was playing right into my strengths. The art style is also a direct response to that. What do you do when 3D art isn't your specialty? Well, I just picked a lower fidelity art style. I mean, in reality, it was a lot slower of a process. I knew the vibe I was going for, and it did take a lot of iteration before getting to where it is now. Every time I add a feature, I try to polish it as much as possible before moving on, but there's many times where I had to go back and bring old features up to par with the current look. I made the assets in the game in Blockbench, which is a fun low-poly 3D modeling software. With every asset, I tried keeping things as low-poly as possible, and I did a lot of the pixel art textures right in Blockbench as well. It took a little bit before I really committed to the PS1 look. I was really set on coming up with something fresh, so I was trying to combine some more modern elements like real-time lighting and shadows with the low-fidelity assets and crunchy graphics, but it just didn't look as good as I had hoped. Up until this point, I was just going off the vibes of PS1 games and not like actual PS1 games, so I went and did some research on how the graphics actually worked and what the limitations were. I had the wobble, the low resolution, the fog, and the low poly, but the lighting or lack of lighting was really the missing piece. Easy Delivery Co. has a day-night cycle, and it used to be that the directional light would orbit around the scene like a real sun. I got rid of that and replaced it with just a single gradient that determines the ambient lighting color of any time of the day. This also matched the game's setting even better because it ends up being a lot closer to what actual lighting looks like on an overcast day. Another part of the style is making use of real images as textures. It adds such a cool low-fidelity realism vibe to the game. The trucks, characters, and items, however, are hand-drawn pixel art, which helps them stand out against the rest of the world. The UI is built on a system I've been working on and refining for like 3 years now. It all started with these little minigame handhelds that I made before I was good with Unity. For a school assignment, I wanted to remake them in 3D, which meant basically remaking this little JavaScript library that I've been developing, but in Unity instead. In a way that I can draw sprites from a sprite sheet anywhere onto a texture. That's kind of the backbone of it. It's probably super inefficient, but it's really my favorite way of making games thanks to the time I've had with my JavaScript library and the games I've made with Pico 8. I know how to do UI in the Unity system, but it's not my cup of tea. I just use this instead for everything, and it's so much fun to make interfaces, and I love how it looks. You can probably make a whole game with this system, and I really do want to do that one day. Going back to scope, here's how that went for me. Easy Delivery Co. was meant to be a much smaller game. Even though it was my biggest game yet, it was still planned to be less than a year in the making. My original scope was to have the deliveries in just Mountain Town with a bit of on-foot exploration and a small narrative mystery to uncover. And the scope didn't really increase because my ideas grew, it was more because the pressure of delivering something great was building fast, especially after the demo released. How I saw it, the success of the demo wasn't exactly warranted. A relaxing delivery game set in a mysterious snowy town, that sounds awesome, and I think the idea of the game was really what piqued so many people's interest.
and the demo executed on that idea just enough to get people excited for the full game. The pressure to deliver something good, to fulfill the promises that the idea presented and that the demo teased, it was really overwhelming, and it really became hard to work on the game. With the help of my lovely partner, I was able to get back into it. The solution was to really dial the scope back into what I originally wanted the game to be, but I still did decide to increase the scope by a significant amount because the confidence I had in my own abilities, as well as the expectations I had for myself, had grown quite a bit. I knew if I really pushed myself and made the most of development time, I could make something that fulfilled the promises of the idea just enough. And boy was it tough, and not for the reasons I thought. Game dev is pretty hard. It's a lot of programming, design, and art, but it's also very fun. But if I could tell my past self anything, it would be that finishing a bigger game is really tough. You get a lot of fun out of problem solving and creating early on. That last crunch has a lot less of that, and it's a real marathon. I didn't expect to spend like 80% of my time just finishing the game. There were so many little things I needed to account for and implement, like Steam integration and credits, for example, on top of making sure the entire experience from start to finish was tight. Every single thing in the game needed to look and sound nice, function well, and be understood by the player. And bugs, so many bugs, evil bugs. Maybe that's just a skill issue on my part. I did really try to program things as neatly and expandable as possible in the beginning, but time gets the better of you, and sometimes your code just becomes spaghetti really quickly, and then every little feature or bug fix you implement has unintended consequences in some other seemingly unrelated feature. Anyway, thank you for watching, I really appreciate it. Have an easy day.